Hello, I'm Christiann Garcia, and this is my ePortfolio for graduation in the MS in Learning Design and Technology program at the University of South Florida. A little bit about me before I go through my ePortfolio is this is my second time attending USF. I graduated in 2013 with a bachelor's in elementary education with my ESOL endorsement. I began working at a high needs Title I school locally in the area. I really wanted to implement technology with my students, but this was not a resource that we had. So I started some crowdfunding campaigns in order to get some iPads and other technology resources into my students' hands. I realized I did have a passion for using Web 2.0 tools with my kids and really helping them increase their engagement into the classroom and be able to use technology as a way to help students learn. So I applied for my MS in Learning Design and Technology program at USF, and at the same time I also began working for Florida Virtual School's brand new program called FLVS full-time, where I started teaching third grade. So as we access my portfolio, we're going to start with the portfolio introduction. This is going to give you an overview of what I'm going to be covering in my artifacts. My artifacts are represented through the Association for Educational Communications and Technology Standards, also known as the AECT. The AECT breaks down into 5 main standards, as you can view here on my ePortfolio. Each of these 5 standards also have substandards, and as I address each artifact, I will also cover which substandard I have modeled through that artifact. So we're going to start with AECT Standard 1. And this was created in Current Trends in Instructional Technology. And while in Current Trends in Instructional Technology, we had to focus on a Web 2.0 tool. And this is a screencast that walks viewers and users through setting up, creating, and editing quizzes. These quizzes collect instant student data, and it is used as an online platform to allow interactive quizzes, which give teachers and students instant feedback. This allows teachers to make modifications to their curriculum for the day to make sure student objectives are met, but also increasing student engagement and collaboration. So this demonstrates my ability to use and select those technological resources focused in 1.2 to enhance student learning. So in this Web 2.0 Kahoot, I've just made a screencast where I've covered those standards. In my artifact 2, this is made in Current Trends in Instructional Technology. I'm focusing on Standard 1.3, Assessing and Evaluating. I have gone through and I have assessed different educational games. So I go through my ability to view, assess, and evaluate those online educational games to really determine how effective are they providing student rigor, and identifying those strengths and limitations. So here in my analysis, I've gone through each of those specific sub-areas and address those, and also make things that I would change for those games. So when you click on the link, you can also access the game so that you yourself can go through and see, are you agreeing with my evaluation? My third artifact, it was created in Technology Project Management, and this focuses on Standard 1.4 managing. So the candidates demonstrate the ability to effectively manage people, processes, physical infrastructures, and financial resources. In Technology Project Management, we created a project plan, and mine focused on a math learning module. We had to create a life cycle, and that required us to be able to manage people, project deadlines, plan research, hitting those budgets and timelines in order to make sure that this project could be implemented. So here is just an overview of what my project management project looked like. This did take a majority of our course, and it walks you through my introduction and background, as well as that project plan. I specifically address the team's job and their functions to ensure that they are being properly managed and meeting their specific standards and deadlines, because we do have meeting deadlines where certain milestones need to be built for the online module. And as we go through, we've addressed the budget as well, and making sure that we are meeting those deadlines and that our customers are truly happy. So going back and making those revisions with them as well. My fourth artifact for Standards 1 is an instructional strategy called Cubes. And in interactive media, I made this artifact, and it is focusing on standard 1.1 creating, so showing my ability to create instructional material using a variety system approach. So in this instructional video, I walk students through a tutorial of how to understand cubes to help them solve word problems. Then we apply the strategies to a real problem, and then the students are able to pause and then practice using this strategy. And this was made in Adobe Spark. And here is a little quick view of what that instructional video looks like. So as you can see, it walks students through it, and it really demonstrates my ability to create that instructional material to help the students. Then AECT Standard 2 is focused on content pedagogy. So this develops my reflective practices as my ability to demonstrate effective implementation of educational technology and making sure that we apply to those different pedagogies. So here I created this artifact in Problems in Instructional Design for Computers. And this focused on my standard 2.1 creating and its ability to apply content pedagogy to create appropriate applications of processes and technology to perform learning and performance outcomes. In this project, we were given an appliance of a top-loading washer machine, and we had to create a storyboard here to show how we could use and actually be able to implement top-loading washer machine. When I was designing this instructional material, I had to think about specific sizings and font indicators. I had to consider the aesthetics and use models and learning theories to make sure, is this more than something that is just appealing, but does it serve a function? So here is my example of my storyboard that has all those specific specifications in order to create this instructional model. And it really teaches the user steps and makes sure that it's easy to use, but also is teaching them how to use their top-loading washer. And at the end, they're able to test their knowledge to make sure, hey, can I implement those things that I learned today? Am I ready to use my top-loading washer? My second artifact was created in web design, and this was a promotional video using Adobe Spark, and it served as a way to promote educational services here at the University of South Florida. I had to use standard 2.2 using, so could I implement appropriate educational technologies based on appropriate content? So I had to think about my images, my sound quality, and were they an important part of ensuring the project of an educational experience? And so here's just a little show of, here's my video that I created. It addresses, it gives project examples that I've made within the course. It walks students through seeing real life images and really does a great job of using that pedagogy to implement our promotional video. My third artifact for Standard 2 was created in motivational design for learning technology, and this focused on Standard 2.3 assessing and evaluating. So the candidate demonstrates an inquiry that assesses the adequacy of learning and evaluates the instruction of implementation of using these educational processes in a reflective practice. So I created a motivation research proposal focused on increasing student motivation in the virtual setting, and the purpose of this was to really analyze the potential problems for engagement. In my proposal, I gave the specific audience information and analyzation, and I applied the ARC strategy to increase student motivation and learning, and applying those techniques from ARCs to make sure that the students' ability were be able to evaluate and implement the technology practices. And here you can see my motivational research proposal, and as it goes through, it addresses all of those main strategies of motivational strategies, what is the course information, and we're able to go through and analyze specifically and how we can use these design tactics to create better classroom educational management techniques and ensure that students are engaged and working throughout the project. The next standard I want to address is AEC Standard 3. Learning environment. So candidates facilitate learning by creating, using, evaluating, and managing effective learning environments. So this artifact was created in interactive media and focused on standard 3.1 creating. Candidates create instructional design products based on learning principles and research best practices. This artifact was created in Adobe Captivate, and it is a learning module that incorporates creating storyboards. I had to make project proposal submissions, and completed working module that included audio narration and multiple tasks. And students work in this module to learn fractions, and the game allows for areas of reteaching if needed because this is a branch training layout, and also to move students forward if they are creating mastery of this content. This really showcased my ability to use learning principles and best practices for creating student opportunity. So as you go through this learning module, it's going to teach the students how to use fractions, and they can submit, and if it's incorrect, it said, let's practice more. So it was able to use that branch model as a way to ensure that we are meeting those students' needs. My second artifact was created in Problems in Instructional Design for Computers. This focused on Standard 3.2 using. So this used my ability to make professional sound decisions in selecting appropriate processes and resources for learning based on principles and theories and effective practice. This was a group project that I created with my team members in Problems in Instructional Design for Computers, and we created an instructional design plan. And the plan was going to help students and more specifically the teachers implement STEM culture into this classroom. So we had to think about those decisions based on the learner's needs and address those key strategies throughout that module. So here we've got our needs assessment, and we worked on why we were doing this, rationing out. We had our target audience here. We went through our performance objectives, and through that we were also able to create our activities and be able to test those materials as well as those implementations for our group. So we really focused on all key areas instructional design plan, which had us focus on, are we addressing those learning theories and effective practices best? My third artifact for the collaboration principle in multimedia learning was created in interactive media and focused on substandard 3.6 diversity of learners. So candidates foster a learning community that empowers learners with diverse backgrounds and characteristics. So this presentation focused on collaboration principle, and the presentation focuses on learners with all backgrounds and ability and allow them to really collaborate and enhance their learning with their peers. And this most effectively happens without causing a cognitive overload. Okay, let's take a look at this artifact. So in my collaboration principle and multimedia learning, I take you through all the principles and as well as how you can apply those principles and based on studies and learning theories for creating effective learning modules. Artifact 4 was created in digital media and learning, and this is an artificial intelligence or AI infographic. And in this infographic, it covers 3.6 diversity of learners. So not only does this go over AI in higher education, but what are ways that it can help lower cost, increase student engagement, provide assistance for disabled students, and increase the rigor. And this project demonstrated my ability to create an infographic and have detailed information that is going to be effective and helpful for a variety of learners. And now let's take a look at Standard 4. And Standard 4 focuses on my professional knowledge and skills, create, design, develop, and implement and evaluate technology-rich learning environments with the support of community of practice. So in my Artifact 1, which was made in development of technology-based instruction, I focused on Standard 4.1 collaborative practice. Here, candidates are collaborating with their peers and subject matter experts to learn and develop and design instruction and evaluate its impacts on learners. This was created with my group members Heidi, Amanda, and Monifa, and we created an interactive online learning game that helped prepare students for taking a course online at HCC. This was an area of deficit that they were finding that students were brand new to online courses or returning to school and were unable to correctly use online courses. So in our HCC Online Success, we did work with our subject matter expert, Rick, at Hillsborough County Community College, and Richard is an intern vice president for academic affairs. And so throughout, we focused our game on theoretical frameworks and learning theories that we knew were going to make the biggest impact. And we set up those research questions and design so that as we created in Storyline, we concluded and conducted alpha tests and beta tests so that way we can go back and revise and make sure that our learning was best practices for the students who would be taking this course before they were able to take their actual online courses. And in the end, we went back for recommendations. If we were to be able to create this course again in Storyline, what were some changes that we'd make? Because at the time, this was something very brand new for all of us. My second artifact was created in distance learning, and this focused on standard 4.3 reflection of practice, and this looks at my ability to interpret data and artifacts and reflect on the effectiveness in design and development of technology-supported instruction to enhance professional growth. So I focused this project on distance learning and created an Adobe Spark. It's a visual aid to highlight key information that's important for creating a valuable online education, and it focuses on 5 practices of education and making sure that this includes fluid practice, engaging students, facilitating the management, and overall student success. And that's able to be demonstrated through this Adobe Spark Sway presentation. And so it goes through each of those key areas and really demonstrates my ability to design and develop the implementation of that supported instruction. My last artifact for this standard was created in Foundations of Measurement, and this is Standard 4.4, Assessing and Evaluating. So the candidate designs and implements an assessment and evaluation plan that aligns with the learning goals. During Foundations of Measurement, we had to create a test that met objectives, and they needed to have successful bank of questions, and this was created by using a blueprint to determine which types of questions are going to be most effective and what standards they were going to be covering. So for this, I focused on a 3rd grade science standards, and I included true and false, multiple choice, and matching components. And this test was given to peers in the classroom, and they were able to test and align the learning goals and standards and used a rubric to provide feedback. And this artifact really allowed me to model my ability to create assessments that meet instructional goals. And so here is where we scored and where my standards came into place for my blueprints and my overall assessment that was used for the students. And so that really demonstrated my ability to implement assessment into the classroom. Looking at Standard 5, it's focused on research. So candidates explore, evaluate, synthesize, and apply methods of inquiry to enhance learning and improve performance. So this focused on Standard 5.1, Theoretical Foundations. So this looks at my ability of demonstrating foundational knowledge of contribution of research to the past and current theory of educational communications and technology. So this is a paper that focuses on problem-based learning and virtual reality in education. And I focused on these two because in project-based learning, students are exposed to more real-world scenarios, and VR, or virtual reality, can really help make those scenarios feel more real and allow for those creativities and visualizations. So in this paper, I provide research and theories that encompass both PBL and VR and how they're applied to my vision of how these can affect education long-term. And so throughout here is my research proposal and all of my documentation of how these can be applied. Artifact 2 was made in distance learning, and this focuses on Standard 5.3, Assessing and Evaluating. So can I apply formal inquiry strategies in assessing and evaluating processes, resources for learning and performance? This artifact was created in distance learning and is a paper focused on the importance of engagement in distance learning. This sparked my interest because of the potential engagement strategy in distance learning. And I researched theoretical foundations that are related to engagement and used Anderson's 7 principles for engagement to provide more of that background knowledge. And throughout this paper, I discussed my research and encompass a variety of possibilities, really focus on learner-to-learner engagement, learner-to-instructor engagement, and learner-to-content to really address and demonstrate my ability for formal evaluating processes. So here is my paper and my artifact that focuses on those key ways of student engagement. My last artifact was created in digital media and learning, and this is Standard 5.4, Ethics. And it's the candidate conducts research and practices using acceptable professional institute guidelines and procedures. This was created in digital media learning, and we conducted a literature review on a topic of interest, and my focus was on AI, artificial intelligence, in higher education. And this development included 8 annotations of the articles related to an area of our interest. We had to make sure that our literature review had correct annotations and that we didn't accidentally plagiarize from the authors, and this was something new to many of us. And using this APA format with citations to create a literature review, I was able to provide new research and data that went over AI possibilities, but it did not discuss my own interests, just provided information from research articles that I had created annotations on. And so here is that paper that was created. And it really did a great job of demonstrating my ability to use professional practices and guidelines to create a paper that focused on that literature review. That was a little snippet of each of my artifacts that are covered through the AECT standards. The last area I just want to go to is my reflection area and just really focus on what a great experience I've had in this program. Dr. Park has been a great advisor and professor throughout this program. Also, all the professors have been so helpful, and the peers in our courses have been a great contribution. It is so nice to actually have team members that you don't have to worry about their work ethics, and we were able to really dive into projects and create amazing technology-based instruction throughout these courses. My perspective really hasn't changed about technology, but now that I'm just able to grow more and continue to learn, I'm excited about my future with e-learning design. If you would like to access my resume as well, you can click on the resume section, and at the very bottom, you can download that resume into a PDF version, as well as contact me, and I can be able to get back to anybody who responds. So thanks for taking a look at my ePortfolio, and I can't wait to graduate this semester. Thank you.